VC. This is Harvey and welcome to the latest video upload for my channel Spinning the Black Circle. I'm going to do something that I'm going to call 5 and 5. I'm sure this has been done at some point in the VC community, but what are the top 5 LPs in a particular subgenre in the last 5 years? So keeping it current, but getting down to specificity in terms of a particular genre or subgenre. So the first of those is definitely a subgenre, genre of a genre. So I'm going to look at country music in the last 5 years. Some amazing albums in the country music sphere. We're coming out of this period of a kind of pop country music being dominant and into something a bit more natural. There's a lot more bluegrass coming back in the country, a lot more of a singer-songwriter acoustic style to many of the artists that are coming through. So removing the genre a little bit from that kind of highly glossy phase. I think that is helped a little bit by the TV show Nashville. I think that had a more there was some country pop in there, but it kind of highlighted a more natural approach to writing and performing country music. And I'm going to go deeper still and concentrate on what I'd regard as the top 5 country albums by female country artists in the last 5 years. So, and I've chosen female country artists because I do think that they're, in terms of the quality of female artists that have come out in the last few years, I think they have eclipsed the quality of some of the output from the male artists. And fantastic male artists, you've got, you know, like your Chris Stapletons and your Sergio Simpsons coming out in the last 5 years, but I do think that female country artists are coming into their own the last few years. So predominantly American, but there's some great UK country artists too. So what are the top 5, in my opinion, the top 5 albums by female country artists in the last 5 years? So I'm going to kick off with a very well-known and well-respected country artist, Ann Womack. So, you know, a veteran of the scene. She commenced her career in the late 80s, early 90s. She had a huge hit with a track named I Hope You Dance, which I think was maybe in the late 80s or very early 90s. That was probably the height of her popularity. I think that was a Grammy-winning song. She's released some fantastic LPs. But the interesting thing about Ann Womack is that her music's changed. She was in that kind of, in the 90s certainly, that pop country vein, but she's kind of developed into going back to her roots, and this is kind of south soul mixed with country. So there's a bit of blues in here too. So that's kind of come through in her last few albums. Definitely that she's gone back to a more rooty feel, and there's no pop sheen at all to this album. The album's called The Lonely, The Lonesome and The Gone, and it's a double LP. I had to buy it on US import because you couldn't get it in the UK. It's red vinyl, so it shouldn't really be on the Spinning the Black Circle site, and you can see I've placed it in more 5 bags. This was released in 2017. It was my favourite album across any genre in that year. For a number of reasons. Her voice is spectacular. The songwriting is a mix of her own and some songwriters brought in, but the songwriting is outstanding. The feel of the album's quite down. It's as the title suggests, you know, the lonely, the lonesome, and the gone. It is deliberately, you know, singer smoking on the front, deliberately towards that kind of moody, late night and reflective type of LP. And it's definitely veers slightly more towards, in my opinion, a blues stroke soul album than a country album. But I saw her in concert in support of this album a few months back at a UK festival in the Midlands named the Long Road Festival, and she came on. She was headlining the second stage on that night. It was a big tent. She came on dressed in black with two male acoustic guitar players either side of her, and sang for an hour and a half with no percussion or bass, just these 2 acoustic guitarists, and her voice was just out of this world. She captivated the crowd. It was really a greatest hit set, but but quite a few songs from this LP. And so this, if you're into country music tinged with blues and soul, this is definitely one of the best female country albums I've heard in the last 10 years, let alone 5. The title track in particular, it's just a powerhouse vocal performance. So I think she's one of the best at what she does. I think she deserves a lot more success than she got. She's not up there in terms of popularity with your Carrie Underwoods, but I think she should be. And I think she's gone back to her roots because I think of the realization that she's getting older. She's in her 50s now, and she's better making music that she wants to make rather than following some market dictated approach to what she records. It's a fabulously packaged LP. It's great tone on vinyl. The digital copy sounds good too if you want to stream it and see what it's like. But yeah, The Lonely, The Lonesome and The Gone, the latest LP by Ann Womack, in my view, is these aren't in any order, but it's one of the top 5 country albums in my view in the last 5 years. So what's next? This I guess this singer-songwriter does have a reputation for being in that kind of country pop genre, but he's probably the best there is at it. And there's less sheen to this latest LP by Rhonda Lamba. So this is a 3 LP set on vinyl called The Weight of These Wings. So effectively, it's over 2 hours of music across 3 vinyl albums, and the mood she was in on this was she was recently divorced, so there's a lot of anger, regret, and belligerence poured into this record in terms of how she feels about that. It's a balanced record. It's split into 2 parts. There's the first half of the set is called The Nerve, which is that's where all the kind of heavier, gritty songs are, and the ones that speak to that mood of kind of anger and almost attacking the mood from that stance. And then the second half of the set on this 3LP set is called The Heart, which is it doesn't mean that all the ballads are in the second half, but there's a more reflective and less vitriolic approach in the second half of the set, which is called The Heart. She's just sensational at what she does. I think of that new guard, because she's relatively young still. I think she's at the top of that game. I rate her, in my opinion, in terms of an artist, way above Taylor Swift. She's very successful. Missed her on tour last year or the year before. She's 1/3 of the Pistol Annies, who are a country supergroup. So she's in that band. Their last LP, Interstate Gospel, is well worth checking out too. So Rhonda Lamba, in my view, in terms of a pop style country artist, there's a lot of substance to what she's doing. She still speaks to that early 70s Dolly Parton sound too, though it's not, and especially on this LP, the sheen's been taken off, and there's a lot of guitars rather than keyboards, and it doesn't sound like it's been brick walled in terms of the mastering. It's a very natural sound to it. So some of the earlier Rhonda Lamba LPs are a little bit of that kind of sheen pop sound, but this is fantastic. So 3LP set, again, I had to buy this on import, quite tricky to get in the UK, probably readily available in the US, just anywhere, but in the UK this cost me an arm and a leg, and it took about 2 months to be delivered. But very, very pleased that I have Rhonda Lambert's The Weight of These Wings on vinyl. So what's next then in the top 5 female country albums by female country artists in the last 5 years? So back to a veteran, Lucinda Williams. I would categorise Lucinda Williams as kind of the Brian Wilson of country music. She's wrote lots of songs for others too. Lots of soundtrack work. The interesting thing is that as her career has progressed, I think you're talking about a career of 30 years plus, maybe longer, maybe 40. I think she started in the late 70s actually. But what you see is that her voice and also her lyrical content got get more and more gritty as her career progressed, to the extent now that she's got kind of almost a Dylan-esque drawl to her voice, but it really suits her, like a smoky feel to her voice. This is a double album. It's a last proper studio album, because she re-recorded one of her early LPs last year, called This Sweet Old World. But so in terms of the last brand new set of songs that she wrote and recorded, then this the Ghost of Highway 20 was her last album. It's a double LP on vinyl again, and she doesn't really do bad albums, so there's nothing to say other than the reason this is one of the top 5 country albums by a female country artist in the last 5 years is that if she releases something, in my view, it always will be, because the songwriting is absolutely astonishing. There's a really long epic track that finishes the LP off called Faith and Grace, which kind of brings to mind those kind of LP closers that you'd get from some of those classic 60s Dylan albums, like Blonde on Blonde, where you got a kind of 10 minutes plus track that kind of draws together and closes the LP in an epic format. So Faith and Grace does that on here, but it's an amazing LP. The title track's sensational too. Let's have a look what you get inside. My slight complaint about this one is the covers don't fit very well, so I've kind of squeezed them in somehow, but it's a bit tight. But gatefold double LP. She really, I think, cares about what she does, cares about her fans. So the vinyl releases tend to be well put together. But seriously, you can't go wrong with anything by Lucinda Williams, because she's up there with the in my opinion, the greatest country singer-songwriters there ever were. So that would be the third choice of 5. Again, not in any order. So back to the new guard. So this is by Margo Price, the debut LP, Midwest Farmer's Daughter. Now, I got a hold of this for fairly spurious reasons, actually. She's on Third Man Records, which is Jack White's label, and given I'm a country music fan, when this came out, I jumped on it because I think Jack White, I place trust in his taste in terms of how he approaches music. He's a genius in his own right. And secondly, if he's going to release a country music album on his really vinyl obsessed label, which is what Third Man Records is, he really I think he's got his own pressing plant, and they pour a lot of effort into how they release vinyl albums. So that's why I bought it. But boy, I think she's a major talent, and I think she's going to be huge. I saw her at the Country to Country Music Festival in London last year. She was one of the headliners, or I think second on the bill behind, second or third on the bill behind Little Big Town, and she was great. She's just, it's like a classic country sound, nothing whatsoever to do with pop country sheen. It's like it's Dolly Parton, it's Wanda Jackson, epic songs that are based around a band. She had a tremendous band with her, and she plays guitar, and so I think she's part of what I said about the new guard coming through in country, that are much more focused on acoustic instruments and getting back to traditional country. It's not outlaw country, but it is kind of on her own terms. Strong female artist, lyrically strong. I mean, the opening track, Hands of Time, is kind of everything that's happened to her in her life so far, and it doesn't sound like an easy life. Squeezed into 6.5 minutes, and it's an absolutely tremendous track. But the whole thing is amazing, and it's a great vinyl package too, because it's on Third Man Records. It's really well put together, from the cover to the kind of mini lyric sheet and poster inside, and also this was her debut album, but the second album I also have in vinyl, All American Made, and that is it's difficult. I think this is her debut slightly better, but only just, and I wouldn't argue with anybody who said All American Made is just as good, or maybe in their opinion eclipses this. So I think there's a lot more to come from Margo Price. I can't wait to see her on her own tour, rather than just kind of an hour during the country festival, which I saw her last year. But So I think you're looking at a major talent who's probably going to be a household name, when she eventually starts to gravitate. She's just too talented, she's too talented to be marginalised, Margo Price. So I think you're looking at a significant artist who will be around for many, many years. So that's number 4. So what is the what's number 5? And also, this is also a New Guard LP by a South Carolina singer-songwriter named Nicky Lynn. So this is called Highway Queen. It's on US Records, which is an audiophile label. Really, they really do pay significant heed to how they produce albums and how they're mastered. This is her 3rd LP. I got into her because her second album was produced by Dan Auerbach, many of you'll know from the Black Keys. He produced it, and that's how I got into her second LP, All or Nothing. But this one isn't produced by Dan; it's co-produced by Nicky Lynn with Jonathan Taylor. But it's kind of it's so into the heart of what a country album, traditional country album sounds like. I mean, I think she wears these hats constantly. I've seen her kind of, website, and when she's on tour, YouTube clips where, she's a country artist through and through. And this LP is, I think, having heard all 3 of her LPs, this is the best of the 3 so far. It's earthy at times. It's got an almost Lynyrd Skynyrd feel to it because it's a very, very southern sound to the country. Again, it's not that pop sheen in any way, shape or form. The first song's called 700,000 Rednecks, so you don't release a song that's as aggressive as that unless you mean it, unless you're into that kind of country vibe rather than pop vibe. But it's a varied LP too. There's some, I think it's the title track that's the second song on Highway Queen. Is that the one that's more of a country song? Anyway, it's a varied set. It's not all kind of bombast and down your throat country rock as. She mixes it up. It's well produced, well made, and I think that she's destined for great things too. So again, getting back to, I think that this country guard that are coming through, female country guard, I put Maren Morris in that category too. Or she's not in these 5. I think what you're seeing coming through now is some artists who truly mean it, and they're not just there to hit the pop charts in terms of this country genre. So Nicky Lynn's Highway Queen, highly recommended on vinyl, particularly on vinyl format because it's on a US audiophile label. But more importantly, the songs and the feel of the thing is sensational. So highly recommend that. So I've actually got, so that's 5, but there's one that I couldn't leave out, so I'm going to make this 6, breaking the rules. And this is, I think you probably would call her a veteran. This is by Elizabeth Cook. She's in her late 40s now. She's so she's a US country singer. She's actually a country DJ too. But so a few of the US VC guys will know her because I think she was quite big in country. In the early noughties, I think she played on David Letterman and had a couple of big country radio hits. But this LP, Exodus of Venus, is her latest. I think she might be recording an album now, but this was released about a couple of years ago. It's on 30 Tigers Records, which is a really good label. They do place significant emphasis on how they make records at 30 Tigers, and the story behind this one, I read an interview with her. She, I think her last LP was called Welder, which came out in 2010, and she just had a horrendous time leading to the release of this album because I think she got divorced, her house burnt down, all of her belongings were destroyed in the fire, so she had to kind of rebuild her life. I think it's where the title Exodus of Venus comes from, is to hell with this kind of cliches of how women should be. This is a kind of forceful taking control of her life and taking it back after that divorce and that and those things that happened to her. So far from being kind of woe is me, it's an upbeat Adam set. It's incredibly well recorded and produced. Her voice is sensational, and she's an amazing songwriter too. So Exodus of Venus by Elizabeth Cook is the surprise entry at number 6. I just want to show you, this is a quality album on 30 Tigers Records. It's a single album, but gatefold sleeve, and you get an entire booklet inside, which includes the lyrics, but also lots of pictures, illustrations within that. And then again, bucking the trend of spinning the black vinyl. This is also on red vinyl. I won't get it out because I don't handle records. When I've got this record there and that record there, I might touch the vinyl surface, which is not good. But yeah, I think that this is an incredible time for country music. Generally, some great male country artists. Maybe I'll cover that in another one, but particularly female country artists that I think are coming to their own. And so it's a genre that I think is worth investigating. If your assumption is that it's still in the kind of pop category, and I think that would be an injustice to think that, because that's driven by the likes of your Taylor Swifts, but it's not a true reflection of what this genre is about. So love country music, love all genres of music, but I've really enjoyed this particular subgenre the last few years, and long may it continue. So that's my 5 and 5. Be interested if anybody wants to join this party across the VC and do a similar 5 and 5, whatever the genre, or maybe it's the best 5 albums by in a particular country. It could be anything, not necessarily a genre. The best 5 sweetest artists of the last 5 years, whatever it may be. Get involved. So that's my last update this weekend. I want to thank everybody for the views, and I've just reached 100 subscriptions. Please like and comment and subscribe if you like this video. There's a lot more to come as I'm just getting into this into posting videos. I'm hoping soon to do there's a couple of great record shops near me. I was thinking of doing a kind of on location how I buy records update soon, if possible. So a lot more to come. Thank you for watching and listening, and have a good rest of the weekend. Thanks.